everyone, this is Teresa. Welcome to my channel and Happy New Year to you all. And in this very first video of 2023, we're going to paint this lovely watercolor winter floral bouquet. So without further ado, let's get started. Now I am going to have everything set up quickly for the painting. As you can see, I am using my Mongyo watercolor pen set, and the paper here is Fabriano watercolor paper cold press. I also use a tape to tape down my paper so it can be flattened while I am painting. And I am going to use my Princeton round size 8 and 4. Here's the bouquet that I painted in my sketchbook the other day, and this is what I'm gonna show you how to paint. I just kind of show you very quickly so that you kind of know what to expect and it may be easier for you to follow. To make it look wintry, I have incorporated some of the elements that represent winter. You can see here some carnations, which is the bird flower of January, some anemones, and of course some roses, and also some cedar leaf and red berries as fillers as well. I will reference the sketch for the tutorials, but definitely the result will not look exactly the same. I'm just kind of go with the flow and improvise as I go. Since this is my first time painting carnations, so I went on Pinterest and looked for some photos to reference. The unique feature about these flowers, I think, is that it has a very sharp and even edges. Like in this photo, you can see that the color is very light, it's almost like white, but the edges are darker and stands out a lot. It kind of looks like the pencil shavings when you sharpen a pencil. I will use the photo as a reference for shape, but maybe we'll change the color slightly. I'm mixing a red with light yellow to have some sort of beachy tone, and then mix with a lot of water to lighten the pigment. For the first layer, I'm just painting kind of similar to how I would paint a rose, painting C shapes in spiral directions. And while this layer is still wet, I am dropping darker pigment at some of the edges. You will see the color will spread slightly, and this is a very common technique in watercolor called wet on wet. And at this stage, as you can see, I'm not really following closely the reference photo anymore. I'm just kind of dropping the pigment into the random places. If you watch this tutorial and you have a question about compositions, maybe how to know where to place what, but honestly, I kind of, most of the time, I'm just kind of follow my intuition and, as I say, improvise as I go. In terms of if you need, professional advice, I don't think I am at the stage where I can offer those, but there are certain things that I always keep in mind when I am doing flower bouquet that I want to share. I always make sure that there are variety in terms of sizes, color, and value. I think incorporating different sizes and color are pretty much the basic things, but the value is something that really make the painting stand out. Whatever you want to paint, either landscape, floral, or any subject matters. I'm so sorry if you hear some background noises. I think somebody on my rooftop tried to fix something. I am living at a apartment, so probably somebody tried to fix the roof or something, I don't know. Anyway, back to what I said previously about value. I think if value is hard to understand, to make it easy, you can tell that value is just a darkness or lightness of a color. So let's see for example, if you pick the color red, so how saturated you want the red to be. Let's say if you want it to be very rich and pigmented, then you will add less water. But then if you want it to be very light, almost like white, then you add a lot of water. And that's how you create value of one color. And also the other thing is that watercolor is transparent, as you already know. So there are certain colors that's considered as light value colors. So no matter how much pigment you add into it, it's just keep being, staying the same. So for example, yellow is very transparent and very light colors. And then if you put yellow next to, let's say, blues, I would say is a very dark, has a very dark value. So the more you add the pigments, the darker it's gonna be. And then if you put yellow next to blue, a light value next to a dark value colors, then that's how you create contrast. And yeah, that's pretty much what I've known so far. I actually watch a lot of tutorials, videos from professional artists, kind of learn a lot from them, and I want to share with you guys. Sorry if my explanation is hard to understand. I really hope that you can get something out of it, or you also know why I do what I do, know the way I approach with my art paintings. And that's enough for the theory. Now back to the painting. As you can see, I'm adding some roses and anemones to the bouquet. And as you can see, I also apply what I've said about value. You can notice that the rose very light, kind of peachy tone, so that I decided to add an anemone next to it using like purplish pink, which is considered like darker value compared to the beachy colors. So if I put these two next together, you can see kind of contrast. And now I am adding leaves. For leaves, I'm just gonna add the very basic generic leaves, as you can see. Also adding some cedar leaves here and there to make it look more wintry, and some berries as fillers as well. Here you can use or mix any greens you want, but one thing I want to advise is that try to incorporate both warmth and cool greens in your painting, so that the painting will have more varieties, and it's going to look more interesting and also adds a little bit more depth as well. If you think all the flowers don't seem to look complete, no, they're not, but don't worry, I will go back and add more details later. For now, I'm just kind of placing the flowers and all the greeneries to complete the composition first. For every painting, that's just kind of how I work in general. I like to move around my paintings and then go back and forth to add more details where it needed. At this stage, everything looks pretty good. For the berry, I'm just gonna wait for them to be dried before I can add some other leaves in between. Now I'm adding detail for the carnations. I think the edges, like I said, are something that makes carnation stands out and recognizable. So I'm just gonna add more detail onto the edges, and also later on gonna add more pigment into the center for the statement as well. And to be honest, I kind of like how this carnation turned out, and given the fact that this is my first time painting these flowers, so let me know what you think. So we're now officially in 2023, guys. I can't believe that time goes by so fast. How is your long holiday weekend? It's been raining a lot here in California, but luckily it stopped on New Year Day. New Year Day actually a very beautiful sunny day. So I went to church with my family and we had lunch outside. And I also got some time to paint and finish this video as well. So it's really happy about that. I do really think in this new year, in order to help me be more consistent on YouTube, I really need to stay organized, especially my time more efficiently. That's the goal for this new year. I don't want to say the word resolution. It's actually a big word and sometimes it's hard to keep up with it. So I prefer to have small, attainable goal for myself. Do you have any resolution or goals for this new year? Feel free to share with me in the comments. And I also want to experience more with different mediums like wash or maybe acrylic if I have enough time, and try to broaden my subject matters. If you look at some of my videos, you can already tell that the majority of my paintings are either flowers or landscape, and I paint them in loose style. So if you guys have any recommendation what kind of videos or what tutorials you want to see, please let me know, as I love to get ideas from you all. And now back to the painting. After finishing with the carnation, I move on to adding the central statement for the anemones. Yes, as you may know, anemones has a very beautiful and standout statement. So I also add some of the more layers for the other roses as well. Mostly will be the center to divide them a little bit. And also keep in mind that since we're doing loose style florals, so the less detail you have, the better it's gonna look. I think the key for loose floral is that make sure you have the negative space in between, and you can add details to divide them a little bit, but make sure don't add too much, otherwise it's gonna turn into a blob. I know that it is very tempting to keep adding more and more into the paintings, including myself. I do it all the time, but you have to trust me that in order to keep your painting loose and fresh, less is more. And now we almost reached to the end of the paintings. At this stage, I'm just gonna go around and adding fillers to fill up some of the spaces to complete the compositions. But I'm not sure if you noticed, 80%, maybe almost 90% of this video is at normal speed. I don't do much speed up, just like I did with my other tutorials videos. I think with this way, you will be easier to follow and paint along with me. And in case you actually paint along with me this painting, feel free to share and tag me on my Instagram at teresabart. I remember that I mentioned before, I was thinking about quitting Instagram, but now thinking about it, I think it's a good idea to keep it and then use it as a platform for all of us to connect and then to share our paintings. And yeah, so definitely share and tag me on there. I would love to see your creation. Alright everyone, this is the complete look of the painting. Thank you so much for spending time with me. I wish you all a happy new year with full of love, peace and happiness. If you like what I do here, make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and like the video so YouTube can recommend it to more people. And thank you so much for watching. I will see you in my next one. Have a good day. Bye.